Sir, more content in these slides than what was taught in the class, and I could not cover those because of lack of time. Because see, we start from 6 o'clock and it goes up to 8:30. So after 2.5 hours of class, that's two and a half into four. That is means it's a total of 4 days. So it's around 10 hours of workshop. So that was all of means whatever was could not covered. It was because of lack of time because I had to go slow, and it's okay. Like after that, do you if you have any issue with if you want to understand those concepts, you can get in touch with me later because okay, most of you are texting me in on Discord and on WhatsApp, and the replies are either not coming or they're coming very late. Okay, the reason for this is because I have my joining like since I am placed, I need to join the company in the first week of next month, and that involves a lot of documentation. Okay, when you're joining a company, you need to prepare a lot of official documents. You need to prepare a lot of legal documents. I had to go and buy a stamp paper. I had to get an affidavit made. So a lot of documentation goes into it. So I am a bit busy with that also preparing for these. So I'll answer your questions. So just text me after the first week of next month, or you can text the volunteers. Okay, they're equally capable. Okay, I guess some of the volunteers are better than me in CSS because they are working on most of the volunteers right now in the who are in the volunteer group. They are working on a project, and they're really doing a great work when it comes to CSS. So I feel some of them are really good in CSS, even better than me because they are currently working in it. When I work with a, a website or I am designing a website, I take the easy way out. I use one of the frameworks. I mostly use Bootstrap. That is the framework, so that makes my job easy. I just structure it using Bootstrap, and then there is little CSS to be written, just the internal designing part. So that is the easy way out. Okay. But the currently the CSS team, they're doing a great job. Means, the volunteer team, most of them are a part of something, something, and they are doing a fantastic work in that. So I feel they're better than me. So you can always ping them up, and they'll, I guess, they'll be eager to help you. Okay. So now the last day we finished with, I guess we were talking about divs. Okay. Yeah, I think we're talking about divs and how div works. Okay, I guess this was the last thing. This was the last file that we edited. It was div ID where I told you how a div works. Okay, we'll talk about div sometime later. Okay, now I want to come back to something that we did, but we could not understand because of a lot of reasons. Okay, because it was not easily demarcated. So that is tables. Okay, how do you create borders and how do you design a table so that is visually appealing? I'll just open this file once. Okay, I'll just show you how it looks right now. We wrote this on the first day of tables. Okay, on the first day of web, how a table looks, and this table was without any design. Okay, so I'll just open it. You see, it's a very dull table. There is no demarcation. There is nothing. You cannot even understand what is a row and what is a column. So this is very boring table, let's say. You cannot understand. This is very difficult to understand, very difficult to decipher. So let's add some style in it. The thing is, last we talk about element selectors. Okay, these are the elements. I'll just increase the size of it. Yeah. Okay, so these are element selectors. Okay. See, these are tr, th, and again tr, table. These are all elements. Okay. So I want to style them. So last day we talk about internal styling. So I'll do the internal styling because it is easier to navigate right now. At the end of the file, I'll just shift it to external file. Okay. So I'll type your style. I get the entire written stuff. Okay. Now I need to select three elements here. Okay. That is the table element, the tr element, the th element. Also, sorry, four elements: the th element and the td element. Okay. All these four components I need to select. So how do I do that? I first type table. Okay, so that is the first element I want to select. Now I want to select tr also. So I'll give a comma and a space. Spaces, of course, not mandatory, but okay, it's a good habit to give that. Comma th and then another comma td. Okay, so now I have selected all the four elements, and now I'll give them a style. So how do I give a style to them? Let's first create a proper demarcation so that we can understand, okay, this is one of the cells, this is another cell. So let's give some border. Border, I taught you the shorthands last day. I'll give what should be the size of the border. It should be 1 px. What should be the style of the border? That should be solid. And what should be the color? Black. Since I already typed the syntax last day, so it was coming in the suggestions easily. Okay, the autocomplete. Uh, Sublime is really good in when it comes to all these things. Okay, this is one of my favorite IDs. Like, so now you see, now you have a clear demarcation of what exactly is happening here right now. Okay, so now that we have a clear demarcation, it is easier for us to understand. You know, the ones with th, they are the headers. Okay, this is the head. Okay, so basically this is the like the top of a column. Suppose if I have to type the marks of uh, 4 students. Okay, so then I can type one of them as name and one of them as marks. Okay, so let's create a table like that where maybe I can type the marks of students, where each folder can have each particular row can have, let's say, 2 different types of marks. Like let's create a table like that. So it's like, so you can at least see that how it is happening, all of them. So I'm defining another table, and since in this table I'm going to give some additional style. Okay, so maybe I'll not give the, okay, let me give some class here. Let me give an ID since it's very unique. So ID, let's say marks. Okay, this is a table of marks. The first thing that I'm going to give here is, of course, it starts with the table row, and this is going to be a table header. Okay, so I'll type th, and let's say it's name, and the next one is th, and I'll type here average marks and total marks slash CGPA. Okay, uh, let's have it like this. So let's see what's the output here. I saved it. I saved the file. Okay, I pressed Control S here. If I make some changes, if I press a space here, you will see there is this cross changes to a circle. Okay, and if I press Control S, that again changes back to the cross. So that is the meaning that it is saved. So I go back to the page, and now you see it has a thing like name and total marks slash CGPA. Now this is the table. This page is not looking good. Okay, there is no space between the previous table and this new table. So I'll do a small thing. I'll just put a line break here, because so that there is a clear gap. Okay, now we have a clear gap. Okay. Also, I want this table to be 100 of width 100%. Okay, so there must be some changes here. Okay, I'll just put a width, and I can put it 100%. Okay. Now it's looking good. Okay. Now, when it comes to the table, particular table, especially when it comes to table headers, okay, the default property of the text in table headers is that it is all the text is always center aligned. Okay, like you know what alignment if you worked with Word, of course. Okay, so that means that there is 3 kinds of alignments. That is center align, left align, and right align. Okay, so if we have a look at this piece, okay, second, yeah, you see when I'm clicking on this particular element, you will see there is of the th, there is a particular property, and that is text align internal center. Okay, if I want, I can change it. Let's see what happens if I change it. Text line, let's say left. Now just when I type here left, you see it changes. It changed to left. Okay, so even though there are some default properties of all the HTML elements, we can always change them to whatever to our liking. Okay, we can always change them to our liking, the way we want them. Okay, and HTML will behave the way we want them to behave. Okay, and that is why each element has a huge, like, it literally has a garden variety of attributes. You can change it to the way you want it to work. Okay, that is totally up to you. So Anyway, if I still it is, since I changed it in runtime, it won't reflect in my original code. So if I refresh the page, it goes back to center line. Sorry, yeah, to center line. Okay. Now I need to enter some marks. So I'll just start another tr. So I'll just start a tr, and then there is th. Okay. Now, since I wrote here total marks plus CGPA, so of course I'll have two lines. In two lines, it will have one will be the marks and another will be the CGPA. So I want the design to be something like that. So if you're not really understanding what I mean, I'll just type it and show it to you. Okay. So how we do that? We put a call span. Okay. So when we put a call span, we can have two columns in a single column. Okay, I'll explain to you if you're not exactly understanding how it is working. So I'll just type it. So I'll just put it. So it is call span. Okay, it will not be th since it will be td. So it's a mistake on my part since we have already done it. Okay, so this will be my marks. Okay. Uh, so I'll just do a quick copy of the code. Okay, this okay. It will be row span. Sorry, I made a mistake here. It will be row span. Okay. Sorry if I made a small mistake. Sometimes it happens. Okay. Sometimes the attributes are a little bit confusing even for me. So it is row span. Okay. So why it is row span? I'll just again explain. So each of these, like this is a row, this is a row. Even though in class sometimes we call this entire thing to be a row. Like if this column header I'm telling you, this entire thing sometimes we consider it to be a row, but that is not the case. Okay, even though in classrooms we call that this is the row, this is the row, this is the first row, this is the second row. But when it comes to computer science and when it comes to styling, the and even when it comes to mathematics, rows and columns, rows are these are one of the rows. So I can put a row span, I can put it to row span 2, and let's say my name is Ankit. Okay, so yeah, my name is Ankit, and then I can put 2 marks. The first should be my total marks. uh, my total marks, let's say it's 200, and let me give another one, and my CGPA, let's suppose it is 8.0. Okay, so let's see what's the output here. Okay, this is, did I again make a mistake? Just a second. Yeah, okay, it's okay. uh there is some particular issue right now, which, just a second, I'll just fix it. Where is the issue? Just a second. Yes, I'll just fix it. Wait. uh it is behaving weirdly. Even I don't know why it is behaving weirdly right now. I'll do a quick check. Where did I make the mistake? Okay, this coal span is working, then why is the row span not working? Let's see if it works now. Okay, so by default, somehow it is taking a coal span too. So let's just put a coal span too. Okay, coal span goes 2. And so if this is the case, then I have to make this span 2. Okay, so the issue here is that since it is okay, I got the issue, fine. Since the problem here that is happening is that since it's covering 2 rows, so suppose this is the first row. So what I need to do is that I need to remove this from here. So what happens right now is you get the marks here, and I'll remove the coal span from here too. Okay, and what I need to do here is remove this, and here comes the CGT. Okay, sorry for the little hiccup that happened. Uh, Sometimes it happens when we're working with web. You get confused why something is not working. It happens, okay? So the mistake that I was doing is that this was a basic logical mistake on my part. So sorry for that. Completely sorry for that. It shouldn't have happened. And I wasted the time. So sorry. So basically what happened is that at this point I gave a row span of 2. Since I gave a row span of 2, I completely forgot that this same row cannot have another one, right? Since I have already given that this should cover a row of 2, the next content should go in the next row and not in the same row. So that was a logical error on my part. So sorry for that. Okay, completely sorry for that. So here goes the first marks, and now I need to put the marks of, let's say, 2 more marks. I'll just put 2 more marks. Let's say I have a lab partner, and the name of my lab partner goes with Ankita. Okay, since my name is Ankit, and Ankit and Ankita, they are very common names. So it is actually true. My lab partner's name was Ankita. So let's say I'm putting Ankita, and let's say it is 220. Her marks are 220, and let's say he's a 9 pointer. Let's see the output. So it's Ankita, and now you see that for each element, what you have is the first, for each marks row, the corresponding first row has the marks and the corresponding second row has the CGPA. Suppose you have a desire to display your content like this, so this is how you do it. Similarly, let's say I want to put another marks. So let's say the another guy who was my lab partner was Aniket, okay, and let's say he had a 210. So let's say he was 8.5 CGPA. And well, now you have 3 marks the way you want them to show them to your viewers. So you have 3 marks like that, marks and CGP. Okay. Now you have another desire. You want the names to be in uh, text align center. So how do you do that? So for that, since we cannot directly select all the TD, since selecting the TD element will select the name and also the marks and the CGPA. So that is a bit difficult thing to do. So how do you do that? All you need to do is simple thing. Okay. What you need to do here is you need to give a class to these TDs. Okay, the name TDs. So how do you do that? Let's say I'll put a class, and let's say the class has names. I don't want to write it again and again, so I'll copy. Let's say I'll put names. There's an extra space. Okay, so now it's done. And now I need to give some style to names. So how to do that? I will type here names. Dot is the class selector. So again, text align center. Okay, text align is means exactly what it is written as, text align or text alignment. If you give it center, it goes center. Okay, so that's how it works. Now if you want it to be right, okay, that is a very weird thing to do, but again, if you want it to happen, it will go to right. Okay, let's just change it back to center. So I'll just do it. Okay, so this is how it is done. Now you want to do something else. You want to give some color to the name and the marks headers. Okay, so how to do that? Let's get some colors. Okay, uh, this website was the one that we referred last day. My internet is working. Okay, fine. Sorry, I thought my internet was not working, so I had to open this portal to check. So let's say I want a color like this color for the background, or let's take a darker shade. Let's take something on blue. Okay, something in this, and let's select this color. Let's say I want my th to have uh, a background color of this. Okay, let's say background color, hash the code, save it, and now let's check how it looks. Okay, since I said for all the headers, so the colors of all the headers changed. Okay, now let's say since the black font color is not looking good with this background, so let's change it to something else. So background color. Sorry, you've done it. So it's color now. Color means the font color. Okay, so let's give it white. We can type white. We do not need to give the code. It's a basic color. Okay, it looks good. Name. This should look good for name. See, if the colors look weird sometimes, I'm sorry for that. I'm not really a great designer or someone who understands how colors work. I tried learning how to draw a painting in my childhood, but I was never good at it. So sorry for that if the colors are weird sometimes. Okay. So now all I need to do is I want the names to have this color, only the names. So I'll put the background color here. Again, hash. I'll save it. Check. Okay. Again, I don't want it to be this color, so let's see what color goes with it as font. So let's see, maybe we can have something like this as font. Okay, that would look weird, so let's have this. Let's see how it looks. Looks weird, yeah, as I expected it. It looks weird, so let's take something darker or something else. Yeah, better. Okay, anyway, it's still dark. It still is black, but okay, it's fine. And now I want some color for this part. Okay, for the marks. So for different marks, let's say I want different marks, different background color for marks and different background color for CGPA. Now see here I'm using class. So why I'm using class? Because I'm selecting multiple elements with the same name or the same class name. So here I'm using class. If I had to target a particular element, I would have selected ID. Okay. So let's go for selection again. Let's let's use one of the functionalities that Sublime provides. So I can press the cursor here, and now I can press Control, and I can press the cursor here again. Now you see you have cursor in two places. So that is the functionality that Sublime provides. You can just press Control and hit cursor at multiple places, and the cursor will appear in all those places. And now you can type simultaneously. Okay. Okay, now we have 1 marks, 2 marks, and let's see, we have another marks too. Let's see how it looks now, typing at 3 different places. Okay. Okay, you can see just 2 places in this view. So space, and now I have a class. Let's say marks. So if you notice, you'll see that I'm typing at 2 places at once, and typing control again. Typing or just pressing the cursor at any place anywhere again removes that. So let's put some styling in marks. Let's take another color first. Let me select the marks. So marks is selected, and let's take a color, something in yellow, background color. Okay, so this is the marks part, and now I want something in the darker tint for the CGPA. So let's select this, the yellowish colors. Let's say something like this. This looks good. So now I have to select the rest, that is the CGPA part. Okay, so that's the CGPA one. This time I'll just copy paste the class. Easier thing to do. Okay, space class CGPA. Okay, copy it and put it in every CGPA. Okay, now let's drop it here in the code. Just copy it again because I lost it when I copied the class. This is the CGPA and it's background color. I forgot to put the hash, so it's not okay. Okay, so I think the table looks pretty good for something that is done with basic HTML and CSS. It looks pretty good. Okay, if not the colors, if the colors are not that good, it's fine. That can always be changed, but it looks pretty good than what it looked like this before the all these designs. Like before, without any styling, the tables probably looked like this. Let's see if I have a non-CSS table, how it looked. Probably have one of the files. Okay. Okay, this is how the initial files look without any CSS. So you can see the difference, right? This is the difference between what is known as a CSS file and what is known as a non-CSS file. Like you have a lot more content, lot more design than what is in this. Okay, so that's that. Okay, now another place where we can always apply CSS is list. Okay, so we did some lists before. Let's see where we did lists. I'll just check it. Okay, so here we did some lists. Okay, you had options like this was a like when you are going for unordered list, this was an option, this design was an option, but other than that you did not have many options. Okay, so how do you give options? Like how do you change this particular dot style, this particular black circle? So there's an option, there's a provision in CSS for that. So how do you do that? Let's open it in the CSS file. Okay, so let's copy this file. Continue. So already open. I'll just copy it and put it in the CSS folder. Okay. Yeah, here's the list. Okay. So now you have something here. Okay. So how to do this? Just yeah. So all these lists, okay, they have something called a particular style. Okay, they have, you can change the list style. Okay. So how do you do that? I'll just show you, just 1 minute. So let's type here style, since I'm doing style to all. So now let's change it. Okay. Let's put some ID in this unordered list. I'll just increase the fonts. Let's put some ID. Let's say I'm giving it, let's have 4 lists. Okay. Uh, 4 unordered lists. Yeah. Okay. And let's keep the first one to be circle. Circle list. Okay. Then the next one can be square list. Okay. What's the use? I'll tell you. And I'm leaving the next two empty because I have to show you something with both of them. Let's change it. Nothing has. Okay, I'll just didn't open it from the CSS folder, so it's not reflecting. Okay. So now you see you have four unordered lists. Okay. So how do you change them? Since you are given them the ID, let's select the ID. First, I'll show the square list. Okay, because that's where you will see the change. So I'll just select it with hash, which is the ID selector. Square lists. Uh, okay. Now you need to type a particular attribute, which is list style type. Okay. Now there is an option which is square. Okay. And now if I check it, you see this one has become square. It is no more a circle. Okay. And now let's change the first one, which is the circle list. So I'll just type circle list and open it. And let's type here list style type. Let's put circle. Let's see what happens. This is how it's changed. Okay. So if you just put a circle, it changes like that. So default is this, and if you put a circle, it changes to a black empty circle. Okay. So these are the types of options that you can have. In future, maybe HTML might provide more support for more images, more types of lists, but for now we have these. Now let's say you're not really happy with these kind of designs, simple designs, you want more. So there is a provision for more. How do you do that? I'll just need to get some SVG for that. I don't memorize website names, so I'll just copy it from here. Let's get some designs. So let's get something. Let's see. Let's go with these. Okay, smiles maybe. Okay, we do not have anything with smiles. Let's go with something popular. Let's say you're creating a list of documents, and let's get one of these. Okay, so there are a lot of options. Okay, let's see you're creating a list of options, and you want something like this, and you want these to be downloadable. Okay, so let's see. Let's get the HTML from here. So this is the HRC for this particular image. You for a list image, you obviously want the smallest size possible, which is a 16px. So let's just copy this link from here. Okay, okay, completely copied. Fine. So let's put another thing, which is Okay, so let's put an ID here, which is the image style. So that's what we are going to change here. Okay, so let's put it here, hash image style. And there is this provision, this style image. Okay, and there put this URL tag. Okay, and then you put it. We do not need the images RC because let's just remove it. Let's see how it looks now. Okay, this is not the file. See, now that I'm refreshing it, you'll see that you're seeing this particular downloadable file icon. So if you want an image of any sort, any small image, this is how you can do it. Okay, you can change the attribute to this style image, and you can put any image you want. Okay, any image small enough to fit there. Let's search for some other image because this is not one of my favorite ones. New icons. Let's go for new icons. Let's see what we can find. Let's see. Okay. Let's see something for Instagram. If you want to create a list of Instagram links or accounts or something like that, let's see if I can get this. Okay, let's select embed HTML again, and let's just copy it. Okay, the link. Okay, it's copied. Let's give the last thing to Instagram style. Okay, the last UL ID to Insta style. The thing that just happened, that was the full screen and non-full screen. Okay, if you type, if you press on F11, Sublime goes to full screen mode, and if you again press it, so it goes back to normal. So hash, now it is Insta style, and let's put again this style image, and then again URL, and let's put it here. Again, we do not need the image part because that is pretty much okay. So now we are done with this. Let's check the website, how it looks. And now you have these Instagram icons. Okay, so there's a bit of problem with styling. You can fix that later with margin padding and stuff like that, so that is fine. So this is more or less about the lists, how you can edit lists. So after this, we'll go to the structuring of a web page, how to structure a particular web page. Okay, how to create the various structures, and I have a sample of how a website should look, how what we are going to make today after teaching. After I'll teach you the structuring part. So I'll just open the files. This is what I intend to achieve at the end of today's workshop. Uh, this is something that I hope we can achieve today by today's workshop. Uh, this design is something that I want to teach, because see, I have taught you about the individual components. Okay, how you can create individual components. You can, like I put a banner goes here, which means an image goes here. Okay. Uh, I have taught you about headings, which is these are headings. Okay, these are not, nothing but headings. I have taught you how to put an image. So images go here, and so basically individual elements don't work. Here is a paragraph. Okay, so individual elements won't work. You have to, when you're working in real life, you have to work with a full-fledged website. Okay, a website which has a structure. Okay, so for that, this is something that we are going to build by structure of a web page. When you are when you're working with a particular website which has a set structure, where you're working with websites of an industry. Okay, let's say a very generic industry, websites are normally of this design. Okay, this is a very generic design where you have a nav bar, you have a banner, we have a about us part, you have their image gallery where they post image, and then they have a contact form when they tell you to reach them, reach out to them. Okay, and then you can put a contact form. So I hope to achieve this by the end of today's class. So I'll just start talking about div right now, or what are the various properties you can have with div, and then we'll start with designing this entire structure. Okay. So before we start this, does any one of you have any problem, like any issue with what was covered till now today? If you have any issue, you can just start. You can just unmute yourself and then just ask. Okay, if any one of you have any problem, anyone? If no one responds, I'll assume that no one has an issue, and then we can start.
দাদা ওই যখন বললে টেবিল হেডার টিআর টিএইচ এগুলো কিসের আন্ডারে পড়ে? এগুলো অ্যাট্রিবিউট তো নয়, কি বলো ওটা, মানে ভুলে গেলাম
এগুলো
টার্মটা।
এলিমেন্ট, এগুলো পার্টিকুলার এলিমেন্ট। অ্যান্ড মানে এই টিএইচ মানে হচ্ছে টেবিল হেডার, টেবিল হেডারটা হচ্ছে এলিমেন্ট, ঠিক আছে? মানে ওই এলিমেন্টটাকে আমরা ইমপ্লিমেন্ট কিভাবে করি? টিএইচ ট্যাগ দিয়ে, ঠিক আছে? এই যে যেগুলো আমরা ইনক্লোজ করছি না, এই যে এইগুলো, কোথায় গেল টেবিল স্টক? জাস্ট সেকেন্ড, আমি জাস্ট কিছু ট্যাব বন্ধ করে কেন বড্ড বেশি ক্লাস্টার্ড হয়ে যাচ্ছে এখানে। ওকে, টেবিলস, হ্যাঁ দেখ। তো বেসিক্যালি এই যে টিএইচ ট্যাগটা আছে, এটা হচ্ছে একটা টিএইচ হচ্ছে একটা ট্যাগ, ঠিক আছে? এনিথিং দ্যাট ইজ এনক্লোজড উইদিন দিস অ্যারো ব্র্যাকেটস, দিজ আর নোন অ্যাজ ট্যাগস, ঠিক আছে? এবার এটা সিগনিফাই করে হচ্ছে টেবল হেডার এলিমেন্ট, ঠিক আছে? এলিমেন্ট এন্ড ট্যাগের মানে একটা এলিমেন্টকে আমরা ইমপ্লিমেন্ট করি ট্যাগ দিয়ে, বাট যেটা ইমপ্লিমেন্ট হচ্ছে সেটা হচ্ছে একটা এলিমেন্ট, ঠিক আছে? ইমপ্লিমেন্ট করছি ইউজিং অ্যান ট্যাগ। তো টিএইচ হচ্ছে আমার ট্যাগ, টেবল হেডার হচ্ছে আমার এলিমেন্ট, ঠিক আছে? বুঝলি এটা?
হ্যাঁ দাদা, আর টিডি দিয়ে যখন লিখি, মানে আইডি লেখার জন্য টিডি দিয়ে লিখি না, টিডি ইউজটা।
হ্যাঁ, টিডি হচ্ছে তোর কন্টেন্টটা, ঠিক আছে? ভিতরে কন্টেন্টটা, ঠিক আছে? মানে তোর বেসিক্যালি যখন তুই একটা টেবিলে একটা হেডিং দিলি, ঠিক আছে? এবার ভেতরে যে কন্টেন্টটা লিখবি সেটা টিডির ভেতরে থাকে। টিডি মানে হচ্ছে টেবল ডেটা, ঠিক আছে?
ওকে দাদা।
Anyone else? We can have a small 5-minute break right now, because now we are going to start a continuous topic from now on, that is the div, which is probably one of the most important things out there. Okay, so if anyone has any doubt right now, you can ask and we can have a 5-minute break. We can again start from 6:55, or let's get a 10-minute break, because it's going to be a long one. I won't stop after this. That is the from 7 to whichever time this, till the time this entire thing gets made, we'll be working on it. So if anyone wants to ask anything in the next 10 minutes, you can ask, or it's a break right now. Priyadarshan, just share the attendance sheet. Priyadarshan. Okay, so it's a 10-minute break right now. We'll start again at 7, and we won't stop till this is completely done and dusted. And this will be the next assignment. This entire structure I'll show you. I'll even show you how to put an image in this banner section. But you have to, your job now next will be give some styling to it, add the image, add some images, and add a form here. Okay, so that will be your assignment. And what we'll do in the class is just make this entire div, I'll of course share the code in the drive. Last day I couldn't share it fast because I was a bit busy. I shared it today, last day's code, so you can just check it, last day's one. Today I'll share it immediately. Okay? After the class is over, by tonight I'll share the entire code things. So that will be the assignment for next day, and let's see what can be the final assignment of the final project. Okay. So for next 10 minutes, if anyone wants to ask anything, you can just unmute yourself. Okay. You're free to do that and ask.
না তখন তখন রো স্প্যান কল স্প্যানের কি প্রবলেমটা হলো, মানে তখন একটা ইস্যু হচ্ছিল যেটা ফিক্স করলে।
একটা আমার একটা লজিক্যাল এরর হচ্ছিল। Alphabet n number of ways to do it. Okay. So n can be any positive integer. Okay. So I can't teach you all those n methods to do a particular thing. Okay, I can teach you the way I do it. So it is like, it is continuum, means I obviously will choose, since I'm very lazy. Okay, I'm absolutely the most lazy guy I'll see in the entire world, and so I'll always choose the easiest way to do something. So sometimes I might cheat a bit here and there as to how to do the stuff. So I'll obviously show the most convenient way or the most easiest way to do it, but that is not the only way to achieve something or the only way to design something. Okay, so please keep an open mind when you're learning. See, what I'm teaching here is what I'm trying to make you all learn is not absolute. It is not the only way to do something. Okay, when I'm telling you that this can be designed like these can be designed using only class and IDs, that is not true. There are a lot of more things. There are more advanced topics. There's a topic of child parent topic. There is a child selector topic. There are special selectors. There are different selectors. Okay, so that is also a way of designing all this. Okay, ID and class is not the only way to design. So it is not possible for me to show you all those methods. So please, when you're learning all these, keep an open mind that there are more stuff to learn. Okay, this is not absolute. There are a lot more things that you can learn. Okay, the like maybe what I executed right now, like all these CSS, it might be implemented in a in lesser number of lines in some advanced CSS topic. So it's not possible for me to show all that. I'm just showing the way uh, a beginner can learn. It's just how to I'm showing you the easiest way to do it with as with just covering as much code that we have learned till now. So stuff like that. Even when we are covering this div part, I'll talk about certain attributes, certain designs, which maybe like you will just learn one attribute or one property of that attribute. Okay, so there are more properties of that attribute, but we do not have the time to cover all of them. Okay, so let's see. So please keep an open mind that there is a lot more to what I'm showing here right now. If you find web designing interesting, if you find web interesting, you will learn them. Okay, I'll share sufficient materials for you to learn. Like if you are interested after all these things, you you see you can create whatever you want. Okay, when it comes to web, the opportunity to create is endless. Okay, so if you're interested, I'll share the content, I'll share all the resources where you can learn from, and then you can do the rest. Okay, so it's 7:02, so let's start with div. I'll just make a fresh file in CSS. Okay, so new file, let's say divs, caps is on divs.html. Increase the font size a bit. Yeah. So, HTML. Okay, this is the entire starting code. Understanding divs. Now divs literally stand for divisions. Okay. Now what is divs? Okay, div can be called as a container of everything. Okay. So basically div is a container that you can shape in your own way. Okay. You can have particular height, you can have particular width to it. Okay, and you can just shape it the way you want to shape it. Okay. So let's show you how it is done. So basically, when we go to advanced CSS, the entire body is when you go to advanced web designing, like the entire website is not contained within body. Okay, body is just, let's say, a canvas for your painting. Everything is contained within divs and more divs and more divs. One div can contain multiple divs inside, as many divs as you want. It can contain that. Okay, there is no way that like there is no way you can stop containing more and more divs. Okay, you can just keep adding divs, but that is not true for other elements. That you cannot have one paragraph tag inside another paragraph tag. That I showed you last, that there was an issue with uh, one paragraph tag inside another paragraph tag. Okay, let's put some divs inside more divs. Okay, let's nest some divs. Okay, first I'll show you some properties of divs, how we can style it. Let's say I'll just put an ID here, div1. Okay, let's just start styling it. Style, it's a hash selector, so div, what's the ID selector? Let's say let's give a border one, yes, solid black. Okay, now see, when we are going to style, okay, there are a lot of more styles when it comes to divs. I'll just remove it so you can see it. Okay, so since I moved this one, this too, so border width. Okay, So now when I give a border style, there are options. Okay, there is, I guess, one of the dashed options. So what happens? Uh, I'll show you what happens when I'll just, before you see anything. Okay, CSS, and here it is. Divs. Okay, you can see a single line. You're not really seeing a container. Okay, the thing is, div is flexible. Okay, it takes the shape, the height, and the width of whatever is inside it. Okay, so if you do not define a height and a width for it, it will not take any height or any width. It takes a width, the entire, since it is a block level element, it takes the width of the entire viewport. The viewport is basically your screen. So it takes the width of that. But height, if there is no content inside it, it will not take any height. The height will be 0. Okay. If I put some content in it, let's say I'm just putting my name inside it. So you'll see the difference that it is changing its height. Okay, it is getting some height. It is putting my name inside, so it is getting some height. But if I remove my name, see the content is removed and you do not see a square anymore. So it needs something inside to get some height. But we can also do it by applying some height to it. So we can put this height. There is an attribute called height. Every block level element has that. So let's say it can be a 500 px height. We did not define a width because by default, okay, 500 px is too much. Let's put it 300. Okay, so 300 is pretty good. We are not really using the width because it is taking the entire width, and that is fine. Now you see that there is also some margin at the sides. Okay, these margins at the side, which I do not want them. I'll just move them. You can see here. See here is this margin, which I feel is not the margin. Okay, so this is the margin. So this is the margin of the body. So I'll just remove the body margin because I do not want that. Body has some margin and I do not want that. This is creating unnecessary space in my website. So maybe not remove it, I'll just remove it a bit. Maybe change it to 5px. Okay, now we have a better one. I'll just 2px. Okay, better. Okay, this is better. So let's say this is the dashed one. Uh, Of course, we have solid. We have some more styles. I guess we have a dotted style. Let's try it with something with putting another div inside it. Let's say I'm putting another div. Yeah, so it is div, and let's put an ID to it. It is div two. Div two is ID. Let's select it. Div two, and let's have some border for it. Border width 1px. Border style, it can be dotted. Yeah, there is an option called dotted. And let's say its height is again 250 px. Okay. Okay, so now you see there is a div, but you cannot really understand a demarcation properly. So let's apply some margin to it so you can understand it better. So margin, let's say 20 px. Now you see there is a proper div with the outer one has a dashed border, the inner one has a dotted border. And let's put another div inside it, which will have a conventional solid border. So div ID div 3. Okay, let's select div 3 using the hash one div 3, and let's border style. Let's let's have a thicker border right now because I have been applying 1px everywhere. You might think that okay, it's not border style. I made this mistake. It's a border width. You might think that 1px is the normal thing, but you can have more. So it is border style. Let's say okay, I'll use the shorthand here. So it is 3px solid black. And again, it is appearing as a single line. So I have to change it. So let's apply some more stuff. So let's let it have a height of 200 px. 200px is a bit large, so 150px, and let it have a margin of 30px. So you see, now it is different. Okay, like you have clear demarcation between the three divs, and you can keep on putting more and more divs as much as you want. Okay, so here comes the concept of div. Okay, so this is fine. Now divs can have lot of properties. Now one of the very prominent properties that is used, okay, not very widely, like it was very wide when it was very widely used when they were when stuff like bootstrap was not at all available. Okay, like bootstrap helped us do everything. So let's say I want a div to float at the side. So how do I do it? So I'll just like, I want a div to like not be like this. I want a div to just be on the left side, sorry, on the right side. Like just stay there. So how do I do that? I'll put a div, and let's say I have this ID float example. Okay, do not ever use this float ID or class if you're using any of the frameworks. Okay, because float is a very common class name. Like if you do not understand what it means, it will mess up with your CSS. Okay, you do not use the name float, but I am not using any framework, so float is fine. So let's have this. Let's have some content inside it. Let's have an h1. And let's say this floats left, and now I can change it to, it is div, it is floatx. Okay, so let's select this. So it's floatx, and I can put float left. Okay, let's see what happens. This floats left. Okay, means nothing right now because content usually floats left. So that is pretty much fine. This entire thing is floating left. So what if I put float right? Because if you see, if you normally give a content, it will start from the left, okay, in a page. So this doesn't show what float can do. If I put now, if I refresh, you see this entire thing went on the right side. This is basically float. Now, suppose you want to have three things like, okay, something flows on the right side, something flows on the left side. So how do you do that? Let's float x1. I'll just put it like this so that I can style the next div. This is float right. This float x1. Let's float x2. I'll put it float left. And you see this thing goes on the right side. So even though the thing is, even though what div basically means is that div is a block level element, but when you apply float on it, it can just stack up different floats, different divs on the same line. Okay, this thing changes the concept of float. Like if you want something on the left side, if you want something on the right side, this changes that concept. Let's say I want something which, now see, now if I define something else, like again, if I define a div with no float, okay, so how will it behave? Let's say I have another div which has no float. Okay, this doesn't float, so this doesn't float, this doesn't float, and I'll just move this ID. So let's see how it behaves. uh, if I refresh it, okay, so there is some extra. Okay, so you see, whatever doesn't float, it aligns itself between the two different floats, or the different floats that is currently available. Okay. Now, where do you use it? That totally depends upon you. Okay. Now, when you apply float on something, basically what float does is that it doesn't. Suppose if I'm putting a div inside. Okay, this is one of the problems that happens with float. So Like that might be an issue when you're working with float. So there is also always a way to fix that, but again, I told you that there are n number of ways to do something. So there might be other ways to do it, but well, I do it in this way. So I'll just if you select a particular, if the cursor is at a particular line in Sublime and you press Control and Shift together, and then you press the down arrow, the line shifts down. Okay, this is another of the features in Sublime. So it is shifting down till the end. Done. Okay, so this div is, let's say, I'll give it an idea of float container. Okay, float container. And now if I'm giving it a style, let's say float container. And let me give some border to it so that you can understand what exactly is happening here. A 1px solid black. Okay. Now see here it works fine. So where would it not work? So suppose if I'm removing this particular div, okay. So when I'm removing this particular div, which does not float, which was not floating, you see that, okay, I'll just put some margin top because it's very difficult to understand what is happening. Margin top, let's say 10px. Okay, now you see that even though I mentioned both of them, okay, both this float right and float left, inside this float container, you see that this thing isn't working. This entire thing is not coming inside this div. Okay, this entire these two floats are not coming inside these two, whatever it is called, like these two content. Okay, these two divs. So this is a problem. Like now you want to, if you want to apply some styling to this particular div, it is going to cause some problem. Okay, like if you want to apply something, let's say if I want to apply some background color, background color, background color, let's say blue. I want to apply something sort of float container, let's say. So the style isn't applying here because this float is it is not covering these two left and right floats. So that is an issue. Okay, if something is not covering something, so that is an issue. Now you can see that both these this one and this one is inside this one, but still somehow the problem is happening that it is this float container cannot cover the left and right floats. So somehow it has to be fixed. So there are a lot of ways to fix this, but the way I do it, or a way I used to do it, is something like this. So what is basically happening here, this can be a bit theoretical. What exactly is happening here is that it is overflowing. Okay, this content is this float and this float left and float right, it is overflowing out of this content. Okay, since it is it is coming out of that div and it is floating, so this float content doesn't feel any need to just cover it, so it is kind of overflowing. You can fix it using something like this, though it is not the best way to do it, or it is not a very good practice. But if you want a quick fix, you can do something like this. Let's say I am putting a height auto, and let's say I am putting an overflow. Overflow is something if your content is more than the height. So how do you fix that? So this works if you put overflow hidden, and let's see how it works. And now it is covering. So this, why it works, it's a bit theoretical, but it can be fixed like that. Okay. Float is not something that I use. There are a lot more options. There is a property called flex. You can work with flex. Flex is a way better way to do something. So that is something we would be using in our this grid design. We'll be working with flex, not exactly div. So this could have been solved like this using this float. So there is that. I'll just remove this hidden part because well, I'll have to. You guys will not understand what overflow does if unless and until you have something some content of that type. Okay, so okay, I'll explain how this overflow works. Let's say I'm putting this float container let's say it has a height of 50 px. Okay, let's say this has a content of 50 px. Okay, and I'll just, all these float ones, I'll just hide the float. Okay, I'll just hide the float. And when I hide the float, let's see what happens. Now, when I'm hiding the float, they'll come on different lines because it's a block level element. Okay, and you see that since the height is fixed, it is only 50 px, it will not be greater than 50 px. The second div just goes, the next line, it goes out of the container. So if I want this container to be this much only, so what do I do that? How do I do that? In this case, if you apply overflow hidden, it will just hide the rest of the content. It is just hiding the rest of the content. Okay, but if you want the rest of the content to be visible, like overflow basically defines what happens when you overflow. If it overflows, I can ask the web page to scroll that content. So I can set the overflow to scroll, and now you see you can just scroll down. The content is there. It is right there. Okay, both of those floats are there. That's since it's not really visible. Let's say float. Let's give background color white to the next one. Okay. Now you see if I scroll down, there is a second float. Okay. So this is how overflow works. Scroll overflow hidden works when you are working with a float, and overflow scroll works in this scenario. It's a the explaining the theory part here is a bit difficult. It's going to be a bit difficult. It's going to be a bit very technical thing, so I'll just skip that part, but it works like this. Okay, this is not the best way to do it. And when we are working with something called nav bars, like something like this, we won't be using float. Okay, we'll be using something called flex is a better way to do that. Okay, so this was one of the examples. It was not the best example, but okay, uh, you can always learn new things. That's not an issue. Okay, next thing that we are going to work on is flex. Okay, see, whatever was the prescribed topic, I'm skipping a few of them. Let's say I am skipping a lot of them. Okay, because uh, I want to teach you how to structure a website. Okay, you can learn the individual elements, the individual styles later, but structuring an entire web page, that is very important. Okay, so let's start with this. So now we'll work with something called flexes. Okay, so class uh, flex. Let's flex example. Okay, 1 second. Just a minute. I have to just reply to something. Yeah, okay. So let's say I'm showing a flex example. So how it works, okay? How does a flex work? How will this work, okay? So when I'm defining a particular div with the flex, so I'll just not put in the class, let it be an ID. Fine. Since it's a unique one, so let's put it an ID. Let's put a hash. Let's put a flex x. Okay. So how do I create a flex? Basically, it's a display flex. So what it does, okay? What it does, okay? Before that, this display has a lot of properties. One of the very famous ones is display none. Okay. Before I go to flex thing, I want to show you something, because this is a problem which I feel a lot of you face, which you should know this. This is as a programmer, as a web designer, as a web developer, this is something you should know and you should use in your everyday life. When you're searching the internet for certain content, at times it happens that the ads are annoying. The ads are very annoying. Okay, and you want to remove those ads. Okay, so how do you do that? Okay, uh, from this part onwards, like if possible, I'll ask the this might not be in the recording, okay, because I might ask the team to uh, omit this part out. So this might not be in the recording. So if you're watching, please watch carefully. Okay. So suppose there's a particular website called Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi basically gives you subtitles for particular movies. Okay. So basically, what I want is Wi-Fi subtitles. Any movie will work and not me. Okay. So what happens with this basically? So let's say I want the subtitles for Infinity War. Okay. An advertisement, and I want one of the particular subtitles. Okay. So if I select a particular subtitle, a particular issue happens. I'll just show it to you. I don't know if the issue still happens because I will not really download and watch anymore. Okay. Okay, so it's still downloading. Fine. So this won't work here. I won't be able to show. Let's go to some other website where there is actual ads. Let's go to Geek for Geeks. Any particular website will do any content. Let's search. Let's go. Okay. Uh, when you go to Geeks for Geeks, let's say any of the content, I'm going to any particular content. Okay, so the issue here is that at times there are a lot of ads. Okay, there are too many ads at times. You want the content. Oh, I was searching for laptops. They showed a laptop. I was searching for bicycle gear. There is ad for bicycle gear. So I don't want that. I want the content to be full screen. So how do I do that? So this is a little trick that you can use. Uh, so you can just press Control Shift I. You can click on this selector, certain element in the page to inspect it, and you will see that this particular thing selects this entire div right bar. Okay, you can click on it, you'll get its style. Okay, so if you just change the element to display and put none, uh, it's basically gone. This entire ad section is basically gone. And now if you want the content in full screen, you can like this part, this article, you can put to like width, you can put it to let's say 100%. Okay, I get some there is some particular issue with the diff, but see, now the advertisements are gone, the annoying advertisements are gone. When it is very embarrassing, when you're showing some content to some people on screen sharing, and like people get to know what you're searching for, the content you're searching for, that can be really bad. Even there is like an advertisement here which I do not want people to see. Like, why will I want to show people what I'm searching for? Okay, that is not something that I would like to show people. So there is always a provision to remove all this stuff. Just go it and click on display none and type display none. It goes. It doesn't exist anymore. Okay. So this is how, as a web designer, you must know these little tricks which you can use in life. Okay. Why, if you learn some tricks, why should you always use it in very technical things? You can use your knowledge in very everyday things also. Okay. Okay, so coming back from the tricks and all, this display flex is one of these options. Now, what display flex does? So inside display flex, if you now create divs, they will work as inline elements instead of block elements. So I have mentioned it as display flex, and let me give some margin to it. So there is a clear demarcation, 20 px, and some border to it. Border say 2 px. Solid red this time. I do not want black anymore. And let's have some divs inside it. Okay, that is div. Let's say, let me have my name inside it. Div, okay, h1 Ankit. And let me have another div. I have three divs in the same, doesn't matter. Let's see what happens. You see now that the three divs are in the same line. Okay, div by default should have been a block level element. Okay, as we all know, div is a block level element. But by defining the parent div, like the parent div is basically the div, or the parent element is basically the element inside which we have the current element. Okay, so that is known as the parent element. Here it is a parent div. So the parent div, if you set it as a flex one, the content inside it starts working as inline instead of block. There is no border in it, so we have two side by side names. You can just put some border in these, like let's see, I'll put a class and these class, and let's say names again. Okay, let's select even the class selector names. Let me give some margin. Margin can be 2px or let's say 5px, and some border 1px solid blue because I'm tired with black. Let's see how it looks now. Now it looks better. You can understand what exactly is happening here. It's basically three different divs, and they should have been block level elements, but since we are uh, having some flex in the parent, we have defined the parent element as flex. It is behaving as block level element. Now there is another advantage of using flex. What is that? Suppose if I want the divs to appear from the right side and not the left side. Currently it is from the left side. Okay, so we can set something called the flex direction. Okay, so if you set the flex direction to row reverse, okay, so what happens? Let's see. It starts appearing from backside. Now the thing of row reverse is that, let me show you something. If I am applying something called, let's say Ankit 1, 2, and 3. So what is happening now? It is coming from this side first. This side, the Ankit 1 is coming at the extreme right, Ankit 2 after that, and Ankit 3 after that. So how it should have appeared when there was no flex direction mentioned? Let's see. If I would run that, let's see. It was appearing the normal way, Ankit 1, Ankit 2, Ankit 3. Okay. Let's see what happens if we do not apply any reverse. Let's see that. Okay. Flex direction row is the default property, so there is no change in that. Row reverse is basically starts the content from the left side. Okay. Okay, so this is it. Like this is all the different individual stylings that I wanted to teach. Okay, now we'll move on to creating this grid. Okay, how this entire grid was created. So we'll move on to here. So we'll start designing individual elements. Like first we'll design the nav, next we'll design the banner, and then we'll design the gallery. Okay. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about is how to insert an image inside the div, how to put the background image of a particular div. So how do you do that? So suppose if I want to give some image in the div uh, one, let's say div one, there is no background, so let's give a background. Now if you put a background and put a URL like this, after you put a background to put an URL. Now for normally small projects and projects that would last maybe a month or a week, I take images from the internet because that is more convenient. Okay, so let's say I'll just go to Google Images, Google Images, and let me select. Let's say infinity. Okay, yeah, let me select this image. This is a good image, very high resolution, perfect. Okay, not copy the image. I need to just copy link, copy image address, or you can just open it in a new tab. This is a better one. Open image in a new tab. Okay, after it's done, just copy this link and put it inside the URL. Okay, let's see what's the output. Okay, Now, there is a small problem with that. The small problem is that the resolution of this image is way higher than what should be the normal resolution. There are ways to fix that. Okay, like okay, let me just see if that can be fixed with the limited thing that we are going to. Background, let's repeat. Let's say no repeat. Okay, so basically what we need to do is fix the, there are various ways to do it, but for this case, like if you want to do it more easily, you have to fix the styling of the height and width of the image. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay, the entire image part after we are done with the division. Okay, this understand the entire thing. We'll come back to how to we can just alter the image, background image. Okay, the height and width. Okay, so let's start with this. Before that, before we start with this, does anyone have any problem with what I talked about div till now? If anyone has any problem, please unmute yourself and ask. Okay, right now, because after
দাদা
that
ওই
we'll start. Bol.
দাদা ওই পার্টটা বলবে যেখানে অঙ্কিত ওয়ান, অঙ্কিত টু, অঙ্কিত থ্রি লেখার পর ওটা বক্সের মধ্যে দিলে ওই স্টাইলটা কি করে দিলে? এন্ড
আচ্ছা এই স্টাইলটা আচ্ছা বলছি এটা, এই যে অঙ্কিত 1 অঙ্কিত 2 অঙ্কিত 3 আছে, এর মধ্যে আমি একটা ক্লাস দিয়ে রেখেছি ক্লাস নেমস বলে, ঠিক আছে? এবার যখন এই দেখ এই যে আমি সিলেক্ট করে রেখেছি ডট নেমস, যেটা মানে একটা ক্লাস সিলেক্টর, ডট মানে হচ্ছে ক্লাস সিলেক্টর, তারপরে ক্লাস নেম সেটা হচ্ছে নেমস, এর মধ্যে একটা মার্জিন দিলাম একটা বর্ডার দিলাম, তাহলেই হয়ে গেল। দেখ মার্জিন যেটা আমি দিয়েছি সেটা হচ্ছে মার্জিন হচ্ছে এখানে তোর আহ, কত দিয়েছি এখানে আমি মার্জিন হচ্ছে 5px, তো চারিদিকে একটা মার্জিন হয়ে গেছে, এইটা একটা মার্জিন দেখাচ্ছে এটা। যদি এটাকে সিলেক্ট করিস তুই, দেখ চারিদিকে একটা মার্জিন আছে, ঠিক আছে? ইচ অফ দেম হ্যাজ আ মার্জিন, ঠিক আছে? অ্যান্ড যে একটা বর্ডার আছে, বর্ডার এখানে দেখ ব্লু কালার, রিমুভ করলে বর্ডার থাকছে না, মার্জিন সরিয়ে দিলে থাকছে না, তো এইটাই ভাবে আসছে। ক্লিয়ার হলো না? তুই অন্য কেউ জিজ্ঞেস করছিলিস।
না, এবার বলছি যে ওইটা যে ব্লক এলিমেন্ট থেকে লাইন এলিমেন্টের ব্যাপারটা বললে এটার সঙ্গে, যে এটা তাহলে ব্লক হলে তো পরপর আসার কথা ছিল, মানে ওপর মানে তলায় তলায় তো পাশাপাশি আছে, লাইন এলিমেন্ট হয়ে গেছে ওইটা যখন বললে না, ওইটা কারণটা কি বললে? ফ্লেক্স এক্স ইউজ করার জন্য?
ওইটা ফ্লেক্স, ওইটা তোর এই যে তোর এই যে প্যারেন্ট এলিমেন্টটা আছে, এই যে তোর এই যে এর বাইরে যে আমি ডেফটা লিখেছি না, যে যেই ডেফটার ভেতরে এইগুলো আছে নেমস গুলো আছে, ওইটার মধ্যে আমি একটা আইডি দিয়েছি ফ্লেক্স এক্স বলে। এবার ফ্লেক্স এক্সটা আমি সিলেক্ট করে ওর মধ্যে কিছু স্টাইলিং দিয়েছি। স্টাইলিংটা সেটা হচ্ছে আমি ওটাকে মেনশন করেছি যে ইট উইল ডিসপ্লে অ্যাজ ফ্লেক্স। যখনই ডিসপ্লে অ্যাজ ফ্লেক্স করি আমি, ডিসপ্লে অ্যাজ ফ্লেক্স করা মানে হচ্ছে যে বেসিক্যালি যেটা হয় হচ্ছে ডিসপ্লে অ্যাজ ফ্লেক্স করা মানে হচ্ছে যে আমার এবার যে ভেতরে যে ডেভ গুলো আসবে ওইগুলো ইনলাইন আসবে, ঠিক আছে? আর আর ওটা তোর ব্লক লেভেল হয়ে আসবে না, ইনলাইন হয়ে আসবে, ঠিক আছে?
আচ্ছা, ওকে, লিখে নিচ্ছি একটু।
হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা, okay, I'll just tell this image part. The image part is that I'll just go back to the image. Okay, so I can just change it to something like this: background size, and set it to cover. Okay, let's see how it works now. So when I set it to cover, you see that it is now the image is coming properly. Now it is the width of the image has been resized to contain the entire image. Though you guess see that you're not really getting the entire image right now, because if that was to happen, then it would have messed up with the proportion of the image. Okay, so it would have looked distorted. So let's say, so when I am applying this property background size cover, it is aligning itself with the width of the container. Okay, the container which is containing the background, uh, the image is getting resized to that. Okay, so that was it with entire grid. Anyone else? আর কারো কিছু প্রবলেম আছে? প্রবলেম থাকলে বলে দে ভাই, প্লিজ। If anyone is not comfortable with Bengali or Hindi, you can even ask in Hindi. I am equally fluent in Hindi, so you can ask in Hindi too. I have no problem in answering that. Anyone has any problem, any issue? If anyone has any issue, please just speak up, uh, unmute yourself, and you can just ask the problem. It's like I'll be happy to solve your problem. Anyone, if you have any issue, you can ask, or we'll just proceed to the next thing, which is creating this entire grid. Okay. Okay. I think we can start now. Okay. There's no one, since no one has an issue, we can start. So this is going to be like maybe a little bit confusing at times, but this point I'll just stop at the end of it if you have any issue or any error with what is happening inside it. So let's start. Okay. uh, let's get a new file here. Let's save it as grid. Let's save it as web grid.html. So this is going to take a little bit of time as there are a lot of things to cover here. We might go a little long, but that's fine. We still might finish early. That is totally depending on how fast I type or how fast I can just fix any problem if it happens. Okay, I'll try to go slow because some of you are really new. So let's see. So creating a grid. I'll just give the title of the new creating a grid. Okay. The first thing that we need to create is we need to create this part, which is this part is what is called as the navigation bar. If you do not understand what I'm exactly meaning to say, this part is what is called the navigation bar. You see, this entire part is what is called navigation bar. So what we need to do first is we need to create this thing. We need to create this. So you need to create this. So this is basically your navigation part. Okay, this is where you can go to different menu items. Okay, you can have various menu items, various stuff. So let's see. Let's work with that. So let's give an ID to it. So this is your nav bar. Again, you should not name your if you're using any kind of framework, please do not name it as navbar, because nearly all the styling frameworks have a class or ID called navbar. So please do not name it as navbar. Okay. So we see everything in HTML CSS works in containerization. Okay. You need to create containers to contain stuff. You create containers inside containers, and you go on doing like that till you achieve something. Okay. This section is a different section, so I need to create a container for it. Okay, so create a container. Let's say this is the nav bar, and I have two things inside it. Okay, first is the nav logo, which is this is going to contain the logo of my website, whatever it is, and another thing. Okay, this is going to be the uh, nav menu. Okay, now for every container, everything in this website, every div in this website is going to have a border. So let's just put that this is the wrong thing to do. Style. Okay. Every div in this design is going to have a border. Why? So that we can understand clear demarcation how a div is behaving. Okay, that is very important. So let's review this. Creating web grid. Let's see how it looks. It looks like nothing because we do not have any content yet. And as I told you, a div takes the height of its content, the content inside the div, and don't have any content inside any of these. So let's give some content. Let's say I will select and maybe H. Let's select something H2. H2 is good. So let's see logo, and this one can contain, let's say, uh, okay, this we'll talk about this later. Let's see how it behaves. So we have a logo. Fine, we have a logo that is pretty much fine. That won't be a problem. Now the thing is, uh, now if I start creating menu here, okay, let's say I have a div and I am putting a class for it, which is a menu item. Okay. Let's say this is menu item one. Again, H2. Say menu item one. Okay. Let's see how it behaves. It is going in the next line. So that is not our aim. So let's fix it. How do we fix it? We need to define this nav bar as a flex. Okay. As a flex, we should change the display property to a flex. So I'm putting nav bar. Let's display it as a flex. Fine. We got the logo, we got a menu item. Let's have some more menu items. It's a menu item 2 and it's a menu item 3. Okay. Now there is another issue. Now each of these items are also coming on different lines, because even though this nav bar is a flex, nav menu is not a flex. So again, the parent of menu item is nav menu. Okay, so nav menu is not stated as flex, so it is coming on different lines. So we need to fix that. How do we fix that? Again, we set the styling of nav menu to display flex. Okay, so this works. Now let's see this design. So it is nowhere near to this design. Okay. Also, this design when I created had a single flaw. The menu item one was appearing from the right side. So that is something we'll fix in this design. Fine. So this is a problem. This is a little problem that we are going to face. So how to do that? So for that, what I need to do is that I need to change this nav bar from row reverse in the reverse direction. The menu should appear in a different direction, in the from right to left. So this flex direction, I'm putting row reverse. Let's see how it changes. It didn't change. It became menu item 1, menu item 2, menu item 3. So why didn't change? Basically what happened is that this div, when a div becomes an inline element, it also takes the width of its content. It does not take the width of the entire viewport. So that is the reason why this div did not work the way we wanted it to work. It did not take the width of the entire viewport. So that we need to fix. So how to fix that? We can fix that. See, this little logo is taking, we can give some width to our nav menu and we can fix that. So let's say the nav logo that takes only 20% of the space in the viewport. We don't need to define it explicitly. We can just set the width of the nav menu to 80%, which will take 80% of the viewport. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now it's going to the rest of it. Okay, 80% is a little less. Let's give it 90%, and still some spaces left because this logo we have not set it to uh, full the remaining width. Okay, so let's give some width to our nav logo. Let's say we are giving some width to our nav logo. Uh, I'm putting some width here. It can be a 10%. This should cover the rest. And now you see you have a menu on the right side and you have a logo. That is how most websites are nowadays. You have a menu on the right side. You have a logo on the left side. Okay. But again, there is a little problem that we are facing right now, which is the menu items are in reverse. So how do we fix that? So we can fix that by putting another div. We can, let's say, put another div here with a different, let's put another div and I can name it as class, let's say menu bar, nav menu bar, okay. And let me just cross it out and let's set it. Okay. Now you see I have put everything inside this menu bar item. Okay. Now it will fix the one problem but create another. See, now what happened? This menu bar is not a flex, so it is creating another problem. Is that different elements are appearing in different lines, different divs. So let's make menu bar a flex too. Menu bar display flex. Okay, did not give a proper name? Okay, named it a class. Sorry, it will be an ID. Now you see, this is something you should not make a mistake. If you're giving it as a class name, it should be in a class selector, not an ID selector. And if you're giving it an ID, it should be an ID selector, not a class selector. Okay, let's see now if it works. See, now it works. Now you have the menu in perfect order. You have menu item 1, you have menu item 2, you have menu item 3. So now you're done with your nav bar. Okay. So now that we are done with the nav bar, let's see, we have to work with the banner now. Now, one thing which is very different from here to here is that there is no spacing between the nav bars. So let's create some spacing in nav bars. Here the spacing was not created well, so I'll just edit it a bit. Now what I need to do is for each menu item, I'll give some left margin. Okay. Since menu item is a class, so I'll just give the class selector. Let me just check if I'm writing it correct. Yeah. So I'll just give some margin left, or let's learn it the difficult way. 0 px is the top margin. This is 0 px is your right margin. The next 0 px is your bottom margin, and this is your left margin. Okay. This is just to check your understanding. Okay. Now see, I've got some margin in this direction. Okay. After your website is done, after you have done creating this grid, you can remove all the unnecessary borders. Okay, that is totally a personal choice. Let's give some more margin because it still doesn't look good. Okay, fine. And I can give some padding. Let's give some padding. Let's say 5 px. Now it looks okayish. It looks pretty much okayish. So another thing which I want to do, I want to just put these items. See, since it is like I just want to put these in align center. Okay, logo, you can put an image here that you can align, that is fine. By default, since these are items, I just want to set these menu items content. You can put a styling in these and set it to, it should be in center. Like if you're putting these items, like the text should be in center. So how you do that in center? You can just put these like the advanced selectors. Since we're not covering advanced selectors, we can just put this, I can put a class menu text, and let's menu text. Sorry, yeah, and I just put it this text align center. Maybe you won't understand it, but maybe in future when you put some other text, it will be fine, right? Okay, so that is done. It will affect it if you just put a particular width. Let's say I'm putting a width of 50 px, or let's say 100 px. This will affect it. Oh, this is very small for whatever was inside. Okay, so this is what happens when I put 100 px. If I was to remove this text align center, let's see what happens. Now see, this is no more in the center alignment, but I want it in center, so I just put text align center. Okay, so we're done with the nav part. Okay, logo, I don't think we need to center line because it is all in the center. Next, we will work with the banner. Okay, so let's work with the banner now. Let's see, let's create the banner. So this part is done. Typically in a website, when we create a website, uh, at least when I create a website, I put the entire thing in one div again, but I have omitted that extra container, the body containing div. That is fine. That is, we can work with it. So next we are working with something called the banner. So I'll create another div for it. Okay, let's do this. Div ID. Let's name it banner, and let's see that the banner goes here. Okay, let's see how it looks. It will not look pretty for sure, but let's see. Okay, it doesn't look good. Okay, so how to fix that? You need to, work with something so that it looks good. So let's give some styling to this. And now I also want something. I want this banner to appear right in the center of, let's say, okay, let's start giving some designs. Let's say, since it's an ID, like a banner, I'll just start with a height, and let's see, flex, and let's give it, sorry, why will height be a flex? Sorry, mistake on my part. Sorry for being so careless. Okay, let's give it, okay, since all the divs have a border, I do not need to give any border here. And I think I can do this. Let's see. So it looks like this. Okay, uh, but it's still, this entire content is not still in the center. So how to make it in the center? Let's try some things. Justify content center basically tries to align every block level element inside in the center one. In the center, in the sense vertically center. Okay, so this doesn't work since there is no, but since I cannot change it into, for this to work, a parent must be in flex mode. Okay, so align items might work. Align items center still doesn't work because again the div has to be in flex mode for any of these to work. So justify content center, and I'll just put display flex. Let's see how it looks now. Okay, now it goes up. Now you see how both of these affect. Once you put a display flex, uh, so basically what justify content center did, it aligned the content in the middle of the entire div. And what align items did, see what align items did. Basically when I'm typing align items, when I refresh it, basically it goes in the center. So both of them work together to put it exactly in the center. Okay, so now we're done here. Okay, so we're done with the banner part. Next, see what we should have. Next, we should have this about us section. Okay, so let's work with the about us section, how we should create it. Okay, so we're done with banner. Let's create another div for it. Okay, so let's name it some, let's give it an ID which is about us, and let's create a separate div for the about us heading. Okay, about us heading, and another different div for about us content. Okay. So let's see what's the output here. We have nothing because there is no content yet. So let's put some content. Let's put an H2 and let's put about us. Okay, so we have about us here. Next, let's see. Let's work with about us content. We need. I want some lorem if some text for it. Okay. So since I am very lazy right now and it's going to take a lot of time if I start uh, pulling content from the internet, I'll just copy it from there. I declared 3 different p tags. Okay. Okay, so the shortcut to see the source of page or the code behind the page is Control plus U. Okay, that opens the what is the styling behind the page. So you can open it using Control plus U. So that's it. So I'm just being lazy here because I have to again, match whatever I did there. So yeah, I'm putting 3 different paragraph tags. Let's see how it looks. You can also put PRE tag if you want. That is totally up to you. Okay. So let's put some things here, some changes here. So since this H2 is a selector, like this H2 is a block level element, you can just put it in an ID. Let's say about us heading H2. Okay. So how do you style it? Just put the ID selector about us heading to. That's fine. And now what I need to do, I need to just put a text align center. Let's see. Now it's in the center. Fine. That is pretty much fine. Now, how to do that? Now, what to do? The next thing. Then the next thing that we need to do here is that we need to put the content. Whatever the content is inside, we need to put it in the text align center mode. So how do I do that? So all I need to do is, by the way, if I wouldn't have given this issue also, it would have worked. Okay, just show it to you. It still works. So this is becoming a bit redundant. So I'm just removing this ID. If you put text line center, the entire uh, the parent and its children take the same styling. Okay, whatever is inside. So even similarly in about us content, if I put a text align center, it will take it. So let's see if I can we can select 2 IDs using comma. About us. Why am I typing so much? Copy paste. Okay. Let's see if it works. Well, it works. So basically, we can select 2 different uh, divs, 2 different IDs or classes using comma also. So this part is done. The about us part is done. Let's give some padding to it, or let's say some padding to it. Let's say padding 20px, so it looks a little pretty. Yeah, it looks good now. Okay, next we're done with this about us section. Next we have to work on this gallery part. Okay, so let's work with the gallery part. Let's get a separate div for the gallery. Whew. Okay, ID, it should be an ID. So for the gallery, we are going to define another div which is going to have the gallery ID. Okay. Next we need a gallery heading because we have a heading here, right? Gallery. Let's do everything here. Okay, one thing that I could have done instead of doing all these here, like I could have selected like this. Could have been done. I could have simply selected about us, hash about us, and done. I could have done a text line center right here. It should work. See, let's refresh it. It works. So fine. uh, since we are giving it to the parent, the rest of it works. Okay, fine. So now let's work with the gallery part, the gallery. So let's give a gallery heading. This can be the heading. Let's give it. Uh, See, when you're working with a structure like this, make sure like all the important divisions have its own ID, so that you can, if you have redundant elements like multiple pictures there, they can have the same class. But if you're having very unique sections like this gallery heading, this form heading, you must make it an ID. Okay, you must give it an ID property. Diff can have both class and ID depending on how you're using it. Okay, so now we have this gallery ID. Let's have this gallery heading. Okay, this gallery heading. Let's have this h2 tag inside it, and let's type gallery. Okay, again I want the text, all the text inside gallery to be in center. Okay, let's select gallery and text align center. It was not the file. Okay, so I have a gallery now, and now I need the gallery images. Okay, let's create a container for the gallery images, and then we'll create a container for separate images. Okay, let's have this div. Let's give it an ID of gallery images. Fine. And now I know what I need to do. I need to create separate gallery image containers. Okay, so I'll create divs. I'll just give it a class. Since I am having, it's a redundant division, like I'll have multiple images, right? Gallery image item, and let's say I'll have 4 images. Let's say I'll have 5 image. Okay, let's have some names here. Okay, forgot to push the HTML. I'll have to again copy paste. Image one goes here. Fine, and I'll just copy paste. Let's see how it looks now. It doesn't look good. 4 different lines. It doesn't look good. So what I need to do here? So now what I need to do is that I need to define this as a flex, right? I need to define the gallery images as a flex. So let's do it. Yeah. This gallery images will be defined as a flex. Display flex. Okay. Okay. This is not the file. Okay. Now it works, but you see it is all aligned at the left side of the viewport. Doesn't, it's not looking good. So what we need to do? We need to make it in the center. How we will make it in the center? Justify content center. That's in the center. This you may or may not put the height in the grid, but it is totally up to you. If you put a height, your image will be rescaled to that particular width and height. So let me give some height and width to each of the gallery image items. Okay. So since it's a class, I'll select the class selector, gallery image item. In fact, if I wrote the class name correct, okay, gallery image item, it's correct. So let's give some properties to this. Let me give a height of say 200px, width of 200px. Okay, and let me give a margin to them. Margin, let's say 5px, which is the top and bottom, and 30px, which is the left and right. Okay. Next, I don't need to display it as a flex, so no displaying as a flex. I'll just put the text align center. Text align center. This should work. Let's see what's the output. Okay, so it is in the top, so it's fine. Like if I would have stayed as a text align center, it could have been in the middle. It's fine. Okay, you all you need to do is put the images here. Okay, I can do it if you the query part. If you tell me to do it, I'll do it. Fine. So we're done with the gallery. Only the last part is left. That is the form part. Okay. Let's do that. Let's create a separate div for a form. Okay. So let's create a last part, which is the contact form. Okay. I want if I'm an industry and if I ask someone to create a website for me, I should the people who come to my website, they should have a way to contact me. How do they do that? I'll create a contact form. So contact us form contact us. Okay. And obviously we'll have a heading for it. I'll create another div. Let's create an ID for it. ID is contacts. H2, and let's say let's try to reach out to us and give a semicolon for emphasis, and let's create a placeholder for a div. The div, and let's make it ID is contact us. That's not the form, it is the form part. Okay. Okay, so we are done with this, and let's here. Form goes here. Form part, it will be done in the homework, so I'll not put it here. Okay, so let's see how it looks now. I'll just refresh the page, and you see they look very bad. Reach out. Okay, it's reach put to us. It has, sorry. Yeah, it will reach out to us now. Let's change it. Let's change some styling so that it looks good. So let's change the heading. What can it be? Okay, so let's change the entire thing for contact us to the text align center. But we could have done that, but you know that might affect the styling for the forms, so we do not want that. So we'll change just the styling for the contact us heading. Just align center. Okay, so it's in the center right now. Now, what I need to do is that I need to somehow make this entire thing. The form should be in the middle. I want the form in the middle, nowhere else. How do I do that? The way I can do that is that you know, we can have a separate div for the form. That is one of the ways to do it. Let's do that. Form. Let's make it form container. This let it be div ID. Contact us form, not container, just form. Okay, so this thing goes inside it. And let's how to do. Okay, we have just changed the styling for the heading. Let's change the styling for the inside element. Okay, so let's first see how it looks. We have got another div, so it's fine. Okay, so first thing that I need to do here is that what I need to do is first I need to display it as a flex. So that is the contact form, contact us form contain. A few things that I need to do. Okay, I'll just save it, and let's just display it as a flex. Okay. Now that I've displayed it as a flex, there are a few things that I can do. Okay, first I need to add some height to it. Let's say it's a 400 px, and width is the default, so that's not necessary. And justify content center. Okay, let's see what happens when I do that. The form is here now. Okay, uh, in the homework, when you're applying a form, please change this to height should be auto, otherwise it will overflow. The form will overflow. The height should be set to auto. I'll just put it as a comment. Height should be set to auto while implementing form. In case you guys forget it, I'll just put it. So justify content center, it's in the middle. Now form goes here. Let's give some width to it. Let's say it will take 40% of the viewport. So let's pick this contact as form. Let's give some width to it. It will take 40% of the viewport. Let's see how it looks. It's pretty wide. This is our H2 here. So I'll just put a little styling here because it's unnecessary. I cannot put a styling in entire div, otherwise it will change the way the form elements look. Okay, I'll just put a little styling here as an example of how inline styling works. Text align, center. Okay, it looks good. So this is basically your one grading of an entire website. So your assignment is going to be that you're going to put a logo here. You're going to put some menu items here. You're going to put some more menu items here, some 1, 2, 3 menu. First menu can be this going to the about us section. Second menu can be the gallery section. The third menu can be going to the contact us part. Okay. The last thing that I want to show to all of you is, at times, okay, I'll just show it how it works, even though it will not look very good. I'll still show it. No, I guess I'll show you in the next day, because there is some more thing that needs to be changed after you do this. So, in certain websites, it happens that the top navbar, this entire thing, this floats as you scroll it. It basically stays in the top. It doesn't move from the top. It stays at the top, even if you scroll. Okay. So that thing I'm going to show next day. After your assignment is to put styling in this entire grid, put some colors, put some background colors. Every div can have a different background color. Put some styling in these. I have shown you how to change the fonts. I've shown you how to change the color, the background color. I've also shown you how to put images here, how to make it, how to make the image such that it fills the entire width of the container. So that is the thing that I want you to do. And after you're done with all the designing, or putting all the different elements into it, you can remove the borders. You can just omit this part. Okay. I'll just put it in the comment of this part. Remove the above line after all styling and element implementation. Okay. So this is going to be your homework. Today is Friday. For those of you who are really interested in this, please work on it. This is an assignment. If you have genuine problems like laptop issue and all that, we cannot help. But this assignment has to be done by Monday 5:30. Okay, 5:30. Monday 5:30. That is the timing for this assignment. Monday 5:30 p.m. Okay. Why is that the timeline? Because I'll choose from, like, I'll go through your submissions. I'll go through the various submissions that you guys have done, and I'll choose the best design, and I'll show something else on that design itself. Okay. So I'll choose one of your designs. I'll go through all the designs that you guys have done. I'll choose the best one, the one which looks the best, and I'll just do some changes here. What I told just now, that how to fix the nav bar so that it scrolls with the page. Okay, that design I'll show one using that. And after that, that will be the end of CSS. Okay, and after that we'll jump to JavaScript. Okay, so that is the end of it. That is the end of today. You need to put an image here, you need to put some images here, to put some styling, some background image, some colors, and to put a form here. Okay, whatever, wherever it's written goes here, you need to put that there. Also need to change the menu items. Okay, if you want, you can put a text in the middle. In this banner goes here, you can put some text in the middle, and then you can just remove the h2 from here. Okay, so that is pretty much it. For this particular div, this banner div, you will put a background image, not a normal image. You'll put a background image. For things like this, you'll put a normal image here. Okay, you will just put a normal image here, using the image tag, using the img tag. Okay, so that is pretty much it. You can also make it a background image. Okay, pretty much done. It is totally up to you how you implement it, using background image or using image RC. That is totally up to you. But I'll prefer if you do it using, like, it will look better if you do it with the background image, since the image will cover the entire div. So there's that. So we are done with all the things that we planned for today. I'm sorry if I moved a little fast today, because I really wanted to cover this. This had to be covered. Okay, you cannot make a website. I taught you all the individual elements, but those are useless if you do not know how to structure a web page. So this is something that I had to teach you all. So I'm sorry if I went a bit fast. I know a lot of comments come stating that I'm going a little fast, but we need to cover, like, certain things are very necessary to cover. Like, I need to cover JavaScript next, because JavaScript needs to be covered. Like, the remaining CSS and the little JavaScript I need to cover next. Okay. So that is pretty much it for today. If any one of you have any query, if any one of you have anything to ask, please ask. Okay. We are done for today. So anyone wants to ask anything?
তাদের লোগো সেকশনে লোগো বলতে কোনো ইমেজ দেওয়া যাবে, মানে
হ্যাঁ, লোগোতে ইমেজই থাকবে,
ছোট মতো?
ইমেজই থাকবে, ঠিক আছে।
আচ্ছা, আর একটা হয় সেটিংস মতো বার, সেটা তো এখানে করা যাবে না, মানে সিলেক্ট করলে
মানে কি বলছিস?
নিচে এগুলো চলে আসবে।
হুম,
মানে একটা সেটিংস সেটিংস বার থাকে না,
হ্যামবার্গার মেনু
মানে
বলছিস তো?
থ্রি ডটস।
হ্যামবার্গার মেনু বলছিস
হ্যাঁ
তো?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
ওইটা
হ্যাঁ।
ওইটা সিএসএস দিয়ে করলে তোকে ওখানে জাভাস্ক্রিপ্ট ইমপ্লিমেন্ট করতে হবে, ঠিক আছে। সিএসএস দিয়ে করা হয়, সিএসএস দিয়ে করা হয়, কিন্তু ওখানে একটা অ্যাডভান্স টপিক শেখাতে হয়, যেটা হচ্ছে মিডিয়া কোয়েরিং, ঠিক আছে। ওটা আমি যাচ্ছি না ওটার মধ্যে, কারণ টাইমের শর্টেজ আছে, ঠিক আছে। পরে আমাকে টেক্সট করিস, আমি তোকে বলে দেবো যে কিভাবে মিডিয়া কোয়েরি ইমপ্লিমেন্ট করতে হয়, ঠিক আছে। তো মিডিয়া কোয়েরি দিয়ে হয়, বা যদি নেক্সট দিন টাইম পাই, যদি বুটস্ট্র্যাপ স্টার্ট করতে পারি, তাহলে ওটাতেও করা হয়, ঠিক আছে। বুটস্ট্র্যাপে ডিরেক্টলি করা হয়, লাইক ওখানে আর কিছু এক্সট্রা সিএসএস বা জাভাস্ক্রিপ্ট লিখতে হয় না। তো ওইটা করা যায়, বাট ওইটার জন্য একটু অ্যাডভান্স টপিক লাগবে, জাভাস্ক্রিপ্ট বা সিএসএস লাগে ওটার জন্য, ঠিক আছে। তো ওইটাই আর কি, ওটা করা যায়। বাট এই অ্যাসাইনমেন্টের জন্য এটাই কাজ, তোকে জাস্ট ব্ল্যাঙ্কস গুলো ফিল আপ করতে হবে এন্ড স্টাইলিং দিতে হবে, ঠিক আছে। দিস ইজ দ্য এন্টায়ার অ্যাসাইনমেন্ট। আমি কোডটা আজ রাতের মধ্যে আপলোড করে দেবো। আজ রাতের মধ্যে না হলে মেবি আর 1 ঘন্টার মধ্যে আমি আপলোড করে দেবো, ঠিক আছে। আপলোড করে আমি নাহলে কোনো একটা ভলেন্টিয়ার তোর কোয়েরি গ্রুপে ড্রাইভ লিঙ্ক দিয়ে দেবে। All drive links should be accessed using AOT mail only. I'm saying it again and again, AOT mail only. I'll not allow anyone to access them using any outside link for certain reasons. Okay, so all things should be accessed using AOT mail only. So please do that. So আমি আজকে দিয়ে দেবো লিঙ্কটা, and this is the assignment. Anyone else has any issue? প্রিয়দর্শন ফিডব্যাক ফর্মটাও দিয়ে দে। প্রিয়দর্শন, অনুরাগ, প্রিয়াংশু, কেউ একটা ফিডব্যাক ফর্মটা দিয়ে দে। হ্যাঁ, ফিডব্যাক ফর্মটা দিয়ে দে। Please fill the feedback. I know a lot of comments will come. I was going too fast today, but I cannot help it. Like, if it is too fast, we'll put the recording. So please play the recording at 0.75 or 0.5 speed, whichever is comfortable for you. Because I had to cover this. This is something I cannot omit. I simply cannot omit this. Okay. So, okay. So